Some people join in. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. If nothing else, it's an education for ourselves. Today, we're going to be talking about events, what to do before, during, and after. Events are really an important way for people to market their products and services, just in general, but, very important too when it comes to government contracting. So a little bit about us. We're the Apex Accelerator. We're formerly PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We're administered locally by the Monterey County Business Council. Apex Accelerators are funded through the Department of Defense, and they've been around since 1985. There's actually 96 centers across the United States and U.S. territories, and 7 within the state of California. And the mission of all Apex Accelerators is to promote economic growth and create employment opportunities in the local markets that they serve. We do that by facilitating your access to the government marketplace, and although it's federally funded, federal, state, or local contract opportunities. Here's just this map of California. We're this teal area in the middle of the state, Central Coast, Central Valley. If you're in on this webinar from another colored area, you can reach out to our colleagues and they'll do an excellent job of helping you out with any kind of government contracting needs. So these are the services that Apex Accelerators provide. First and foremost is that we provide confidential services to you. So anything that you tell us stays with us, etc. We want to develop a relationship with you. So that's basically through one-on-one counseling. We want to learn about your business, what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and then what you'll be doing, like to be doing as far as selling to the government. With that basic information, we'll kind of develop a plan for you, kind of teach you how to go out and find opportunities that are out there, help you review the notices that you see and then describe what the opportunities are, the instructions on how to submit RFQs or RFPs, etc. And then also talk to you about capability statements. That is a marketing piece that is used quite a bit in the government marketplace. So kind of explain to you what they are, give you samples, help you draft one for your company so that you can use that. And we'll talk about using them when we talk about events here in today's presentation. Post-award assistance. You get an award, but conflicts can arise. We can be there to help kind of coach you on how to deal with that. Also debriefs. Debriefs are something that is in the regulations in the federal government. So whether you win or lose a opportunity, you can ask for debrief to kind of ask, why wasn't I awarded the contract? Was it the price? Was it the technical proposal part of it? Those types of things. And even if you win the contract, you may want to ask, what could I have done better in my proposal? So they'll share that with you. And then lastly, just protest. Sometimes people really feel that they've been treated unjustly in the contracting process. We can kind of talk to you about whether really it makes sense for you or not. Outreach events. So on a regular basis, we're out and about in the Central Valley, just telling people about who we are, what we do, those types of things. This afternoon, I'll be participating in a webinar with the County of Monterey, basically, telling people about services that we provide. Trainings, webinars. So again, at many of these outreach events, we're also doing more training like we are today. And then also we will just keep continuing to do webinars. With that, if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, just kind of reach out to me and let me know. Bid matching. So bid matching is a service that we provide to our clients, where basically we use a third-party vendor that we work with you, put together a profile on your business, upload that up into their system. Their system will go out and literally search thousands of websites, and any matches to the profile that we've helped you create with the opportunities that this system accesses, they'll just be emailed to you in real time. And then certification programs, we help you navigate those programs, talk to you about whether they make sense for your business or not. Oftentimes, people think that they could really help them, but in many cases, they really don't. So we kind of have that discussion with you and then help you understand sort of the qualifications, the supporting documents, those types of things in a certification application. And then the great thing is there's no fees or commitments to you. So we're your tax dollars at work. So, take advantage of us, and we'd be happy here to serve you. With that, I'd like to introduce a strategic partner of ours with the Small Business Development Center, Sharon Mikesell.
Great, thanks, Victor. And like Victor mentioned, I'm Sharon Mikesell. I'm the program manager at the Cal Coastal Small Business Development Center. You may know us a little better as Cal Coastal SBDC. There's around 1,000 SBDC centers nationwide. We're part of the Central California SBDC network. Cal Coastal SBDC in particular provides small businesses in Monterey and San Benito counties with one-on-one, no-fee business advising, training, and access to comprehensive resources and information that helps businesses start, grow, and succeed. We provide financial education, business plan guidance, and marketing tips that help businesses get started with government contracts of all sizes. We find that many of our clients get started as subcontractors or with smaller contracts with cities and counties and special districts. Our services complement Apex Accelerator services, so we recommend signing up for both organization services, especially since, as Victor mentioned earlier, there's no cost to you. And why is there no cost to you for our services? Well, we have the support of our partners that include the U.S. Small Business Administration, the California Office of the Small Business Advocate, and we have several local partners that include the Monterey County Workforce Development Board, the Monterey County Business Council, such as Apex Accelerator, and the City of Salinas. And of course, our host and small business lender, Cal Coastal Rural Development Corporation. So if you're not our client already, please visit our website at calcoastalsbdc.com. Click that little green Get Started button. And of course, you can follow us on social media. We thank you for joining us today, and I'm going to throw it back over to Victor to start today's presentation.
Thanks, Sharon. Yes, SBDCs are a great resource for you, and there are several SBDCs as part of the Central California network, and also within our service area, there's a couple that are represented by the Northern California network. So take advantage of them. They're great. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about events today. So types of events that you may encounter. And then again, we're going to talk about what to prepare for before, what you want to be doing during the events, afterwards, how to follow up. Talk a little bit about exhibiting, and then we're going to talk about matchmaking. That is kind of a specific activity that you oftentimes see at these types of outreach events. So types of events. Well, there's a lot of events out there. One thing that I'll mention, the first bullet point is networking events. So, if you are in business, I strongly recommend that maybe look at joining some type of, industry group that, you're part of. That's a great way to get referrals, learn best practices, those types of things. So take advantage of those. And so, just kind of look at different organizations. It might be the Chamber of Commerce or again, an industry group where it's, say, a concrete contractors association or something like that. But think about those. But any event that you attend is a way for you to promote your business. And then conferences. So there's a lot of conferences out there. So one of the things you want to do is try to get there as much information as you can about a conference. A lot of conferences will have fees. So then you need to make a business decision, really, whether it's worth you spending the money to attend the conference. There's some great conferences, but it may require you to travel So then, so all of a sudden you have, just expense just to get there, and then maybe a hotel and meals while you're there. So think about that. And then there's trade shows, which are similar to conferences. A lot of times with conferences, it's more kind of learning, workshops, those kinds of things that benefit your business. But then oftentimes there's kind of a trade show component of a conference where you'll have exhibitors like you're seeing in the picture in the bottom right-hand side in that image, where then you can actually meet other businesses, agencies that you can talk to about the products or services that you sell. Site visit. A site visit is a type of business event where in a contracting opportunity notice, they will sometimes mention a site visit. So basically what a site visit is, as you can see, is either voluntary or mandatory. If it's voluntary, just gives you an opportunity to go and look at it. Say maybe it's a contract opportunity for providing either janitorial, landscape maintenance services. So it really helps you in preparing your bid to actually go there and physically look at everything that you're going to need to see as far as square footage of rooms, those types of things, where things are located, maybe access to a facility, those types of things. If it's a mandatory site visit, this is important to know that if it's mandatory, it means that it's mandatory. So if the solicitation or the opportunity notice says that there's a mandatory site visit, you need to make sure that someone attends that event, represents your business. Doesn't have to be you as the business owner or your general manager, but you need somebody to go and sign in to say that, yes, we were there, because it's one of the first things that they'll look at when your offer comes to them is, did you attend the mandatory site visit? If you didn't, your offer won't even be reviewed. So keep that in mind. If it's mandatory, it means mandatory. And then matchmaking sessions. We'll talk a little bit more about those in detail, but a matchmaking session is where you have a preset appointment to actually sit down and talk to somebody about potentially selling your product or service to them. So before the event, so one of the things you really want to do is, go out and periodically search for events. Again, industry groups have events all the time. In the government, as an example, last month, the Navy had a huge event down in San Diego that they do every year called Navy Gold Coast. There was probably about 4,000 people in attendance there. It's a great event. But not only is the Navy there, but lots of large defense contractors, representatives from other branches of the Department of Defense, etc. So it's a good event. But again, look at those events. And as you might receive a notice, maybe an email about an upcoming event. So again, what you want to be able to do is, if there's not enough information, try to reach out and contact someone to say, hey, can you give me a little bit more information about what's going to take place at this event? Who's going to be there? Again, identifying the participants, our second bullet point here, is important, so that'll help you to prepare. The more that you can know who's going to be there, the more that you can start to prepare for, say, if you go to an event and, say if it's like a trade show and there's going to be 100 exhibitors, there may be the top 5 that if nobody else you speak to, those are the ones you want to speak to. And then after that, you can just kind of pick and choose, but as much as you possibly can, identify participants. Sometimes what you can do is, like with this Navy Gold Coast, is they typically are posting online, because this is a reoccurring event year after year, who attended last year, so who exhibited, so you'll have an idea. As as you're looking at the event, anytime you can also see any kind of an agenda, so you can see which are the seminars or workshops that are coming up. Again, you want to then develop a plan that says, okay, here are some seminars that are happening that I definitely want to attend these. So I need to kind of structure my time. Oftentimes what you'll see happen is there'll be a trade show component as part of the event. At the same time, there'll be some seminars or workshops happening. So it could be that if you go by yourself and you have great interest in the seminars and workshops, you may need somebody else to go work that trade show floor to meet potential customers. So as much as you can, again, gather information about the event is really helpful to you. As I mentioned earlier, prioritize potential leads. So once you've identified who's going to be there as much as you can, prioritize. These are the top 3 that I want to talk to. Then it ties into capability statements. So I mentioned earlier capability statements, and what a capability statement is a 1-page, can be front and back, but it's a basically a like a line card, you could call it. But basically, it has basic information about your company, a brief narrative that explains what it is that you do, basic information about your company, phone number, address, email. If you have any certifications, you've got them listed there. If you're a licensed, like I say, a contractor, you've got your contractor's license number there. You'll put on it past performance, so who you've sold products or services to in the past, and then your core competencies in it. Ideally, what you do is if you've done your homework and you've identified, say, your 4 companies you really want to speak with, you'll customize a capability statement specifically for that customer. You'll go, you've done some research on that company, you've looked at their forecast. So you can then add some content within your narrative that addresses that company. So that's a great way to really put a professional image about your company forward when you meet somebody, because the capability statement you hand them is focused on that agency or that company's needs versus just the generic capability statement. Make sure you show up with business cards. So ideally, when you're meeting people, you're giving them your business card and a capability statement at the same time. Or maybe just depending on who you're talking to, you're just giving someone your business cards. But I can't tell you how many times I've been to an event and somebody shows up and they don't have any business cards, any collateral material to leave behind. And so it's hard for me to kind of remember that I even had a conversation with somebody because they didn't have anything to leave behind. Same thing with brochures. You know, a capability statement can replace a brochure, but if you have a business, you have nice brochures, you know, you can leave that there. But again, if you can ideally leave someone a brochure with your business card with a capability statement that focuses on the need of that government agency or that prime contractor, it'll really impress them. Elevator speech. So make sure that you have an elevator speech for your company. And it's something too that you want to ingrain in all your employees, that you're all basically, when somebody asks, what does your company do? Everybody says the same thing. And again, make sure that when you do, part of your elevator speech is if you are certified as, say, a veteran-owned business, a 8A, whatever it might be, make sure that's in your elevator speech. That's one of the last things that comes out of your mouth. Unfortunately, too many people make the mistake of when they meet somebody, the first thing they say is, oh, I'm a veteran-owned business. People want to know, what is it does your business do? And how, by giving you a contract, is that going to save them time, money, etc.? So the fact, again, that you're part of a socioeconomic group, that's great, but more importantly, they want to know that you have the experience and it can actually really help benefit them as a customer. And then again, do your market research, before you go to the event. So again, as much as you can, try to look at forecasts that are posted online of what maybe agencies are buying. So you can say, hey, you can ask them, hey, I see that you've got XYZ project coming up probably in the next 18 months. What can you tell me about it? It impresses the people that you meet that you've taken the time to do a little bit of homework on their agency or, again, their company. So during the event, so again, with workshops and seminars, again, you've gone, you looked at the agenda as much as possible, and events are going to vary. There's going to be some small events where they're not as well organized. So you're not going to be able to get a lot of this information ahead of time, but that you'll have other events that are very well organized. You'll be able to see a schedule of all the workshops, seminars ahead of time. So that helps you in your planning. But you need to think about these kinds of things. Do you need more than one person? So it could be that, there's going to be several workshops and some of them are going to be at the same time. So you may need 2 people to attend the event so that you both are in a seminar or workshop that, would help your business. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Every time, somebody gives a presentation, they'll always ask, hey, do you have any questions? And people, are afraid to ask questions. What you see oftentimes is people then will run up once the presentation is over and questions have been asked, and nobody has a question, but then everybody runs up to the podium and they want to ask questions there. Unfortunately, what happens if you're not the first person there, the first person or 2 in line will dominate the time. And next thing you know, that room needs to be cleared for the next presentation. So your question never got answered. Presenters are often good leads. So keep that in mind so that when you're talking to presenters, they often are pretty knowledgeable about their industry, etc., how things work. So they can be a good lead to you. You don't necessarily want to start selling them your product as an example, but be able to ask questions about their presentation, get suggestions for them, and then say, hey, in your experience, is there maybe an agency that I should be focusing on or something like that? Again, understand the presenter's role. So again, a presenter may be there just to provide information like I'm providing today. So if you approach me to say, hey, who should I be selling to? Well, I don't know anything about your business or where you're at. I haven't had a chance to get to know you. And at a seminar, as soon as I finish presentation, is not the right time to kind of approach me on something like that. It'd be more appropriate that, you register with us, set up an appointment, learn more about your business, and then we can take it from there. But understand the role of the presenter. And then ask for your contact information. Most of them on the presentation will have their contact information. A lot of people will show up at a presentation, have a stack of business cards to say, hey, yeah, here's, you can follow up with me later for anything else that you may want. And then again, just be aware of people's time. And again, that kind of goes to the fact that when it comes down to asking questions of the presenter, don't all of a sudden just one question after another coming out of your mouth. You want to be able to ask a question or 2 and then give someone else a turn, because again, it's just professional courtesy to everybody that's there, that both the presenter who wants to answer a lot of people's questions, as well as the other individuals there that would like a question answered by the presenter. So then during the event, this is more on like a trade show type thing. So people, they're manning booths and stuff like that, and you're approaching them. So understand who you're talking to. So it's real common when you go to a lot of these events is that you'll have somebody there that's manning the booth, but that individual is more of an outreach person. So they're there to just kind of share that, hey, yes, we're here. We want to meet small businesses. We want to increase our spend with, you know, diverse companies, etc. But they're not the buyers. So again, you want to make a good presentation of yourself, but don't start with a kind of a heavy sales pitch to them because they're not buyers. Sometimes if you're lucky, maybe the agency has actually got some of their buyers there, so then they can be more knowledgeable about you asking specific questions about, you know, what they buy, the quantities, you know, certain maybe times a year that they're buying products or services you sell, etc. So unfortunately though, most of the time when you're going to a lot of these events, the buyers aren't there. It's these outreach people that are there. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then lastly is the end user. So the way typically things are purchased for the government, you'll have somebody who's the end user of the product or services that you sell, but they're not the buyers. Basically, there's a different person who actually buys for the end user, but sometimes you might be fortunate enough to actually have end users there, and then you can talk to them about your business, etc. And then ideally, you know, get contact information from them, so then they can help you maybe with some information that will help you be more competitive in that contracting process. As I mentioned earlier, you know, have your elevator speech rehearsed. So again, when first thing someone's going to ask, oh, tell me about your business as you walk up to their booth. So you want to be concise and be rambling on about your business, etc. Again, have your capability statement and business card ready. So you give your elevator speech and you say, here's my capability statement, my business card. You'll be able to judge as when you're at the event of whether there's like a booth that just has a ton of people around it. Everybody wants to talk to this one company or this one agency. So if that's the case, you know, don't sit there and dominate the time of the individual. You know, be courteous. Just tell people that, you know, here's my capability statement, business card. Let me get yours. I'm going to follow up with you when you have more time. Again, don't oversell. So I see that too often, that again, people are overselling, thinking somehow like the outreach person that's manning the booth has some kind of influence on the procurement process. They don't. They're just out there to just kind of say, we're open for business. We'd like to meet you. This is our process. This is where you need to go to maybe register with us or find our opportunities, those types of things. But that's what they're there to do. So don't oversell. Again, just be cognizant of others. So again, there's a bunch of people, either have a brief conversation, and then you might even tell the person at the booth, I'll swing back around when you're less busy so I can, you know, have a little bit longer conversation with you, which is fine. And then always, you know, offer to follow up. One of the things that people have shared with me who are like manning these booths is that they'll actually meet somebody who they have a lot of interest in, and they'll tell those individuals, make sure you follow up with me because I really want to learn more about your business. I think we might have something for you. And they're amazed at how many people just don't follow up. So make sure you follow up. And per the capability statement, what you want to do too is, and that's part of following up, which makes it really easy, is you've given them the capability statement and your business card. You've picked up their business card. And then what you're doing is you'll be following up by sending the capability statement back to them. I think actually it's in my next slide, probably. Yeah. So follow up, you know, so that's important. You know, you met somebody, you seem to develop some rapport with them. They said, yes, they buy what it is you sell. So make sure that you follow up. And ideally, if you can, try to do it within a couple of days after you were at the event, or at least within a week. I know you're busy, and by the time you get back to the office, you've had work that piled up on you. But see if you can get it done within a week following up. And then again, when you're following up, have a call to action, basically asking, hey, I'd like to maybe set up a time we can talk on the phone, or I can come to your office, so we can talk, learn, so I can show you more about what our business can do for you, those types of things. Also, at this stage too, what you might be able to do is, because you maybe at the event learn more about the company's need, you can go back and then maybe tailor the capability statement to some of the information that you learned in that conversation that you had with them. So ideally then, again, maybe what you did was you didn't have the opportunity to tailor capability statement for your top 4 picks, or it was one of these conferences that you didn't know really who was going to even be there. But once you're there and you had a chance to meet somebody, then you can go back and tweak your capability statement so that it's tailored to that specific potential customer of yours. Again, with a call to action, ask for a meeting. They may say no, but you got to ask for it. That's the worst thing that can happen, is they're just going to say no, and they'll explain to you their process, etc. But if you can get set up a meeting, that's great. And then ideally, you basically, they may say, okay, well, you can meet with me. It's the outreach person. But you can even ask that outreach person, would it be possible to meet with the buyers? And the outreach person may say, yes, we can. I can set that up for you. Or they may say, no, they're just too busy, but I'd be happy to meet with you. So anybody that you can set up a in-person meeting with is great. And then debrief with your team. So say there's 2 of you that went to the event. Make sure that you debrief afterwards. How did it go? Who did you meet that you think is maybe a good prospect for us? Those types of things. It could be that, in debriefing, you're like, oh, wow, we brought 10 capability statements with us and we ran out in the first 35 minutes that we were here. So those kinds of things. And then you want to do at least like a quarterly follow-up. So again, it's common that you go to the event, you meet somebody, they like you, develop a rapport, you ask for a meeting, and they say either yes or no, but then really nothing happens. That doesn't mean they don't want to do business with you, but follow up like on a quarterly basis. Just say, hey, I'm just following up. Is there any news on any upcoming opportunities or anything like that? But follow up with them. You don't want to be, you want to be persistent. And I think on a quarterly basis makes sense. You start doing it too much, and then it's kind of like somebody spamming you. So, but definitely follow up. Especially if you're following up, and if there's something new that maybe has happened within your company that you hadn't spoken to them about in the past, and that's a great topic to follow up on. So exhibiting. So one thing about a lot of these like conferences, so there is an opportunity for you as a vendor to exhibit. And oftentimes that can be a great way for you to, get your name, your product, your service out in front of other people. But like everything else, you kind of want to do your market research on the event as much as possible. So if you can, try to get as much historical information about the event in the past. How long it's been going on, who are the typical exhibitors, what's the number of attendees that come, those types of things. And then again, think of the return on investment. So again, it's going to cost you money to attend. The time that you need to spend there, again, you may need to attend a conference that's in a different state, so the travel costs, etc. So again, researching, who potentially is going to be there that could be a customer. So it could be that, yes, it's an event that might draw a few thousand people, but if you land 1 or 2 customers from that, it makes it all worthwhile. So, think of that return on investment. Quality collateral materials. So if you're going to be exhibiting, as a minimum, make sure you have like a nice capability statement, a generic one. Again, we do a whole presentation. We can talk to you one-on-one about capability statements, but you want to have a generic one, then also some that are targeted to a specific potential customer. But any kind of, like, say, brochures or anything like that, make sure they're done nicely. And then staff the booth with the right people. I've seen too often, I'm sure you have, where there's people behind the booth and they're just standing there like they're just totally bored out of their minds. You want people that are energetic, easy to approach, those types of things, people that can talk about your company in an easy manner. So again, keep that in mind, that you have the right people behind the booth. And this next one, it says staff the booth with a minimum of 2. And part of that is that it's not to keep each other company, but sometimes what happens is that you may be at an event and you've sent 2 people. So again, one person maybe is manning the booth while the other person is going around visiting the other booths that are there. Also, it's an opportunity for you to, one person gives the other person a break to go somewhere, those types of things. So you want to have a minimum of 2 people. This next one, which I've seen way too often, is do not sit. If you're sitting at your booth, basically you're projecting an image that I don't want you to come talk to me. Don't approach me. You want people that are standing. It's okay if they sit down from time to time, because typically, like on a large conference floor, it's concrete, and after a few hours, your legs get tired. It's okay to sit, but if somebody starts approaching your booth, you want them to stand up and then put that smile on their face, and be friendly and encourage people to learn a little bit more about what it is you have to offer. Bring snacks. People love to stop by and pick up a snack, and as they're grabbing a piece of a snack of some sort, you can strike up a conversation with them. And then, of course, just good shoes. The other thing, people don't think about this, but having like a carpet or something to stand on really helps the fatigue, and good shoes helps even more so. So keep that in mind. Matchmaking. So I mentioned this earlier. If you're not familiar with matchmaking, what it is you'll see that oftentimes before the event, and sometimes at the event, basically there'll be a list of like either government agencies or companies that want to set up preset appointments with small businesses so that they can learn about those small businesses. And again, they're done differently. So that's why the first bullet point says not all are created equally. In some cases, to be part of a matchmaking session, you have to register for the conference first, and then maybe you go online weeks ahead of time and start, signing up for matchmaking sessions. Once the sessions are full, they're full, and that's it. Other times, the way it works is that they'll have a board that once you're physically there, that's when you sign up for matchmaking sessions. So you have to understand what that process is going to be like, so that you can make sure that you do get an opportunity to meet with the people that you want to meet. Typically, the way they kind of work is that matchmaking session is typically like 10 or 15-minute session with you and the representatives of the company or the agency. Sometimes I've seen it where, and I don't like this format, but I've seen it done, where you'll have a representative of an agency and they'll have a table, and they'll basically allow like 6 other companies, different competitors, all sit there and then let them ask questions. That's not the preferred method. The preferred method is one-on-one, the agency or the prime contractor, and then the small business that wants to present the products or services they sell. So, but again, that's why it says they're not all created equally. This next one is really important. Show up on time. The way matchmaking sessions work, typically they're on a schedule. So again, you've got like 10 minutes. When you're 10 minutes up, you get up, leave. There's like a 5-minute break, and then the next person comes in there. So make sure you show up on time. If you show up late, oftentimes it's just like, well, tough. You had a time slot, but you missed it. So you miss your opportunity. Be patient. Sometimes, because people aren't experienced with setting up matchmaking sessions, is that sometimes the matchmaking sessions can go too long and things like that. And so the schedule gets a little off whack. But be patient with that. You'll get your opportunity. Then be cognizant of others' time. So there's two things with that. One is, again, if the matchmaking session is supposed to last 10 minutes, when those 10 minutes are up, don't keep rambling on about your business and all this, how great and wonderful you are. Be cognizant of other people's time, because they've been waiting. It's their turn to do that. Also, if it is one of these types of matchmaking sessions where it's one company or one agency and a table of 6 other small businesses, don't dominate all the time with one question after another. Ask your question, maybe one follow-up, and then let somebody else ask a question. So be cognizant of other people's times. If it's a matchmaking session where it's just going to be you and your prospective customer, ideally you're showing up with a tailored capability statement. You've done your homework. In that narrative of the capability statement, you name that customer. You maybe identify some upcoming opportunities that they have. So you've got a tailored capability statement that you're going to leave with them. Again, the elevator speech, that's the first thing that they're going to say. Tell me about your business. So make sure you have that prepared, as well as have prepared questions. So when you get into the session, have some questions already in advance prepared. And it's okay if you have them written down in front of you and you can just go down the list and ask them. That just shows that you're prepared, you're professional, that you have prepared questions. Sometimes people will show up at the matchmaking session and they'll just, the representative of the government or the prime contractor will say, well, tell me about your business. They'll start rambling on about being a woman-owned business or veteran or 8A or something. But afterwards, they're just kind of like, okay, I don't know what next. So have some prepared questions. So here's some takeaways. And just the big one, it's prepare well ahead of time. So again, we'll find out network, find events that you want to go to, prepare well ahead of time of who you want to make sure that you talk to. Be professional in everything you do. Show up with business cards, with proper attire, those types of things. Proper attire doesn't mean suit and tie. It's just what's professional for that industry, that event. The way I'm dressed now may be perfect for a lot of events. Elevator speech, I can't hammer that home enough. Make sure that that's rehearsed and it just flows off your tongue about who it is, what it is that you do. And then have those capability statements. Those things go a long ways of being able to promote your company. Ideally, if you have a nice capability statement, the person that you give it to, as soon as they get back to their office, they're going to pull it out and they're going to see your website address on it, and they're going to go to the website to learn more about your business. And then lastly, just network. I can't say that enough. I mean, your next lead, for whether it's in the private sector as well as the public sector, more than likely is going to come from a referral from someone that you've met at some type of event. With that, about ready to jump into some questions. Next seminar September 13th. It's understanding solicitations, and basically what that's going to be about is there are different types of solicitations in the federal marketplace, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the like the 4 primarily used solicitations. They're all kind of similar, but they have nuances. With that, I'll take any questions you have. One of the questions always comes up is, will you get a copy of this presentation? And the answer is yes. And then I'll also send you a link to the recording of the session so you can listen again if you'd like to, or share it with somebody else. So if you have any questions, you can either drop them in the Q&A or in the chat. Okay, we've got a volunteer. Somebody asked, can you share examples of good capability statements you've seen before? Yes. What we do is when we start working with you is we provide a guide on really understanding capability statements a little bit more of what they are, those types of things. In that guide, there's a couple samples. And then we have other samples that we typically will send to our clients so that they get an understanding of, okay, I see and understand like what it looks like, how it should be formatted, and then also what needs to be kind of be stated in that. So we have those that we share with you. So that was that. So then in the chat. How can you find good events to go to for one's particular industry or government events? Part of that is networking, you know. So if you're out there networking, you're asking colleagues in your industry about, what are some good events to go to. We oftentimes will share events that are happening out there in the marketplace. I mentioned the Navy Gold Coast event that happened down in San Diego in November up in San Joaquin County. There's going to be an event where it's basically local governments around in the county are all going to be there talking, manning booths and stuff like that. So there are a variety of different events. September 6th, the city of Salinas is doing an event of how to do business with the city. So there'll be people there presenting on how does the, say, finance department, which buys a lot of goods and services for the city, how they do it, what's their process, what are the things that they buy, and then also their public works department that will talk about the construction projects that they have and how that process works. So basically, networking, and then again, just going online. There's actually a website, I think it's called govevents.com, that posts a lot of events. Most of them are larger events, but they're all over the country. Actually, I think maybe even all over the world, but there are different ways to go about it. So that's something we can, help you with too. Okay. So I'm not seeing any more questions. But if you have any other questions, just reach out to us. Either, one of your counselor that's been assigned to you by Apex, or join up with us, and then we'll be happy to work with you and help you along your path of, government contracting. So thank you very much. And then ideally we'll see you in 2 weeks on the 13th of September to walk you through some solicitations that, again, can be confusing when you first look at them, but to help kind of demystify what you're looking at. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.